In early 2026, treasure hunters traveled to Newton Falls, Ohio, hoping to solve a series of 10 challenging clues and uncover a hidden treasure. Each clue revealed another piece of a carefully designed puzzle, with every answer building toward one final location. In this video, I will be presenting the solution to the 2026 Newton Falls treasure hunt. I've divided this video into 3 parts. First, I'll give a brief overview of the treasure hunt for anyone who's new to it. Next, I'll reveal the complete solution, including the correct solves for all 10 clues. And finally, we'll revisit each clue one at a time and explain the key logic behind each solve, showing how all the pieces come together. Okay, let's get started. Okay, here's a quick overview of the treasure hunt. This treasure hunt took place in Newton Falls, Ohio. It's a small town in northeast Ohio with a population of about 5,000 people. It was created by Tom Colosimo, owner of Fieldview Acres Mercantile Store in Newton Falls. Tom had the idea of doing a treasure hunt as a way of bringing tourism into the town to help local businesses. His original plan was to do something small, like a $1,000 prize, but then his friends and local businesses learned of his idea and started pitching in prize money, and it grew. That caught the attention of local and regional news, then made it bigger. Treasure hunters were getting involved. Visiting treasure hunters then pitched in prize money as well, and the treasure eventually grew to $37,500 in cash, gold, silver, and collectibles. The treasure hunt involved solving 10 clues in the form of poems that Tom would give out from starting on March 3rd, 2026 to the final clue given out on July 7th, 2026. The 10 clues would lead you to finding a key and a note. The treasure was solved on July 9th, 2026, 2 days after the last clue was given out. It was solved by Trevor Depth and his family from North Carolina. Congratulations to them. They are the very first winners of the Newton Falls treasure hunt, the 2026 treasure hunt, and they won the $37,500 in cash, gold, silver, and collectibles. Congratulations to them. Okay, now for the solution to the 2026 Newton Falls treasure hunt. Here are the final correct solves for each clue. As you can see, they're all numbers. Clues 1 through 8. The poems lead us to locations and objects to look at to derive a number from, or multiple numbers. These are all the numbers, the correct solves for clues 1 through 8. Then clue 9 was not a solve. It was given to us as guidelines to help us with the numbers we collected from 1 to 8 as a way to verify if we were on the right track, that our numbers were correct so far. Then in clue 10, part 1, Tom required us to do some mathematic calculations using, again, the clues from 1 through 8, the solves from 1 through 8. Then we ended up with a GPS coordinates. Then clue 10, part 2, we use that GPS coordinates to arrive in front of Fieldview Acres Mercantile. That's where the coordinates would take us to, Tom's store. Then you had to figure out from the clue 10, part 2 poem that you really need to go to the back of the store. There in the back of the store, we would count the vertical bars on the windows and the door to get the final pattern, 787. So then to actually win, we have our numbers, we have the final pattern, we have the GPS coordinates lead us to the store and the back of the store. But to win and complete the claim, we're required to present both the carried number ledger, which is clues 1 through 8 solves, the numbers, and the final pattern from clue 10, part 2, which is 787. So then you had to provide those numbers to Tom Colosimo in that exact order in order to win the treasure. Then you were the winner, and Tom would present you with a key and note. So there was no key and note to find somewhere out in the public. Tom had it on himself the whole time. So it's more of a symbolic gesture. He gave you the key and note, that symbolizes that you're the winner, you solved the treasure, and you've won the prize. Okay, now that you've seen the complete solution, let's go back to the beginning and examine each clue one at a time. I'll explain the key ideas behind every solve and show how each clue contributed another piece of the puzzle. By the end, you'll see how all 10 clues came together to complete the 2026 Newton Falls treasure hunt. Let's begin where every treasure hunt begins, with clue 1. Okay, here's the clue 1 poem. I'll leave it up on the screen for a little while. Pause the video if you want to read through it completely. I'm not going to read through it because this section of solve explanations will be long enough. Okay, on to the clue 1 solve. Clue 1 leads us to the Newton Falls welcome sign located at the northeast corner of Route 5 and 1st Street, which is Route 114. The clue never mentions the sign directly, but uses references to iron, wood, and a proclamation to guide us there. So once we arrive, we're told to ignore the large numbers, instead focus on the business listings below. So you would need to count the business names on the big red part of the sign. But then you also need to count the business symbols at the bottom. So if you just count the written business names, that's not complete. So what we would get if we count the names and the business signs below, that would be a total of 30. So that becomes the first number we carry forward. That's Tom Colosimo's terminology for the solve number for each solve or each clue. He calls it a carry forward number. So the carry forward number here is 30. Okay, clue 2. Here's the clue 2 poem. I'll leave it on screen for a little bit. If you want to read through it completely, just pause the video. Okay, on to the clue 2 solve. Clue 2 points us to two very different paths that pass through Newton Falls. The first is stationary. It's the historic train station located at 75 East Broad Street, which gives us the number 75. The second is moving, a historic train that passed through town carrying President Warren G. Harding's funeral procession. Passed through in August 7, 1923. The locomotive engine on that train was numbered 5224. Following the clue's instructions, we keep the stationary number first, followed by the moving number. So here the carry forward numbers are 75 and 5224. Okay, clue 3. Here's the clue 3 poem. Leave it on screen for a little bit. If you want to read through it completely, pause the video. Okay, let's get on to the clue 3 solve. Clue 3 leads us to the Newton Falls Community Center through a series of historical references rather than naming it directly. Newton Falls Community Center is the former USO building. The opening stanzas established that the site operated continuously and without closure, referencing its historic function as a facility that remained open at all hours. References to dawn and watch indicate the historical dawn patrol without stating it explicitly. The stanza concerning possession and transfer by token, that refers to the symbolic $1 transaction in which the property was transferred from the city to the U.S. government, emphasizing custody rather than value. So once there at the community center, the clue tells us to ignore the building and focus instead on objects that were present prior to the building's purpose, are aligned naturally and identical in kind, and separate from use or access. This description applies uniquely to the line of pine trees adjacent to the building. Counting those pine trees gives us the number 8, which is our solve, and that becomes our carry forward number. So carry forward number is 8 for clue 3. Okay, clue 4. Here's a clue 4 poem on screen. Pause the video if you want to read through it completely. Okay, on to the clue 4 solve. Clue 4 brings us back to the Newton Falls covered bridge, but it never actually mentions the bridge by name. Instead, it uses a reference to the local Crybaby Bridge legend to guide us to that location. Once we arrive, the clue tells us to ignore both the bridge and the legend, shifting our attention to the two Ohio historical markers nearby. One of the markers features the Ohio bicentennial seal, which displays the years 1803 and 2003. So even though those dates have nothing to do with the bridge itself, the clue instructs us to carry them forward exactly as shown and carry them forward without modification, subtraction, or arithmetic. So the solve for clue 4 is 1803-2003. Those are carry forward numbers. Okay, clue 5. You can see the clue 5 poem on the screen. Again, pause the video if you want to read through it completely. And we'll get onto the clue 5 solve. Clue 5 takes us to the cemetery bridge, but it never identifies the location directly. The wording focuses on restoration and formal recognition, leading us to the bridge's restoration plaque. So once there, we're told to ignore the names, organizations, and all the ceremonial language. Instead, the clue directs us to the numbers that follow each organization name. So reading them from top to bottom gives us 236, 112, and 3332. So that's our solve for clue 5, 236, 112, 332. Okay, clue 6. You can see the clue 6 poem on the screen. Go ahead and pause the video if you want to read through it. Otherwise, we'll go on to the solve. Okay, clue 6 solve uses the history of the Hoyle Woolen Mill and the Pennsylvania and Ohio Canal to guide us to Veterans Park without ever naming it directly. After arriving at Veterans Park, the focus shifts away from the park's memorials. The clue specifically tells us to ignore the monument, plaques, flags, and other prominent features. The clue then isolates a set of identical objects located behind the main monument using 4 criteria: identical form, equal height, alignment, and lack of active function. Only 6 identical objects fit those criteria, and that's the flagpoles. So we count the flagpoles and we get the number 6. So the solve for clue 6 is the number 6. Carry forward number is 6. Okay, we're on clue 7. Clue 7 poem's on the screen. Pause the video if you want to read through it completely. Okay, the clue 7 solve. Clue 7 assumes we've already arrived at the Statue of Liberty and removed nearly every obvious reference to the monument itself. Although the wording hints at freedom and the statue's history, the clue specifically tells us not to look for symbolic meaning. Instead, we're instructed to focus on a repeating physical feature at the base of the pedestal. Counting the 10 identical circular elements at the base gives us the carry forward number 10. So the solve for clue 7 is 10. Okay, we're on clue 8. The clue 8 poem is on the screen. Pause the video if you want to read through it completely. Otherwise, we'll move on to the solve. Clue 8 solve brings us to the Newton Falls Masonic Lodge, although it never mentions the building or masons by name. Once there, the clue provides 2 ways to confirm we've reached the correct location. First, the cornerstone year, 1924, confirms the site. And second, the reverse letter string corresponds to the visible sequence of letters present at the location, but reversed. The clue specifically tells us not to carry those letters forward. Instead, we're instructed to examine the 3 symbols above the entrance, the 3 attestations. Only one contains a number, the value 39. That's the only number we carry forward. So the solve for clue 8 is 39. Okay, clue 9. This one was a little different than the first 8. We do get a clue poem for clue 9, but Tom Colosimo, the hunt creator, also in his Facebook post gave us an accounting of measures for clues 1 through 8. So this one, it's really the instruction manual for everything we've collected so far. Instead of introducing another number, there's no solve in this one. This is more like a guideline. It explains how each of the previous values must be handled. Counts, years, official designations all have different roles. None of them should be altered until the final clue tells us to do so. The clue also reveals that one span of years will be reduced before being applied to an earlier number, and it confirms that our final destination will be calculated as latitude and longitude coordinates. So with those rules in place, we're finally ready to move on to clue 10. Okay, we're at clue 10 part 1. Here's the clue 10 part 1 poem on the screen. I'll leave it up for a little bit. If you want to read through it, just pause the video. Otherwise, we're going to move on to the solve. After 9 clues spent gathering numbers, clue 10 part 1 finally reveals how they all fit together. Each clue solve, or carry forward value, as Tom calls it, is used only when the clue specifically calls for it, producing the latitude and longitude coordinates step by step. The puzzle also confirms that some numbers, like the designation 236, were meant to be carried throughout the hunt but never actually used in the calculations. Following the instructions exactly leads us to the final GPS coordinates. Those coordinates bring us to 36 West Broad Street in Newton Falls, which is Tom Colosimo's store, Fieldview Acres Mercantile, where the last stage of the treasure hunt awaits. Now, I'm going to go through the math, but I'm going to read Tom's explanation of the math to get to the GPS coordinate solution. This is pretty long, so if you don't like math, just skip ahead to clue 10 part 2 to get to the final solution. But otherwise, I'll go through the math right now, and again, I'm just going to read Tom Colosimo's word-for-word explanation of this. Step 1, latitude whole number. What stood alone refers to the carry forward number from clue 8, 39. What remains when the span of years is reduced to hundreds refers to the span between the 2 years in clue 4, 2003 and 1803. So if you do 2003 minus 1803 equals 200. Reduced to hundreds, you take 200 divided by 100 equals 2. Then you add 39 plus 2 equals 41. So the latitude whole number begins 41. Step 2, longitude whole number. Let the 8 set by the 10 means the 8 from clue 3 is set by the 10 from clue 7. So we do 8 times 10 equals 80. Because the location lies west of the prime meridian, longitude is written as negative 80. Step 3, latitude decimal. For the first lesser measure, take the place from clue 2 and the middle of the 3 restoration marks, clue 5. The stationary number from clue 2 is 75. The middle restoration mark is 112. Let them stand together by sum. 75 plus 112 equals 187. What was owed refers to clue 1, 30. Make it answer itself means 30 times 30 equals 900. Place those 3 digits directly after 187. 187900. 6 places are required. So latitude is 41.187900. Step 4, longitude decimal. The great number refers to the 4-digit moving number from clue 2, 5224. The longest of the 3 restoration designations refers to the largest designation from clue 5, 3332. Joined by sum, 5224 plus 3332 equals 8556. The span of years answering to the watch means the reduced year span from clue 4 is multiplied by the watch from clue 6. 200 times 6 equals 1200. Joined by sum, 8556 plus 1200 equals 9756. Reduce the years once more. 200 divided by 100 equals 2. Set what remains by the 10 from clue 7. 2 times 10 equals 20. Join by sum. 9756 plus 20, 9776. 6 places are required. The gathered value stands first and remaining places are filled with zeros. 977600. Longitude, negative 80.977600. Okay, Clue 10, Part 2. I'll leave the poem on the screen for a little bit. Again, if you want to read through it completely, pause the video. Otherwise, let's go on to the solve. Clue 10, Part 2 doesn't reveal the treasure location, it proves we found it. After arriving at the coordinates from Part 1, we're instructed to move to the rear of the building and ignore anything facing the street. There, in the rear of the building, we count only the uninterrupted vertical bars, reading the 3 sections from left to right. So we're looking at the window, door, and window, those 3 sections, and we're just counting the vertical bars. That produces the final verification pattern 787. The final twist is that 787 isn't the complete answer itself. To successfully claim the treasure, you have to present all the solutions for clues 1 through 8 and the final pattern 787 that we just got. After you present all that in the exact order Tom Colosimo, then you're finally the winner, and he presents you with a key and note that he had on himself the entire time. So the key and note was not out there in the public. He had it, and it's more just like a symbolic gesture that you have solved the treasure and won the final prize, which is $37,500 in gold, silver, cash, and collectibles. So after 10 carefully constructed clues, every number, every location, every instruction finally came together, and that's how you complete the 2026 Newton Falls treasure hunt and win the prize. From a welcome sign to a historic railroad, a covered bridge, forgotten memorials, and finally a set of GPS coordinates. Every clue led one step closer to the finish. It's a reminder that sometimes the greatest treasure isn't just what's hidden at the end, it's the journey of discovering how all the pieces fit together. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.